I hope everyone's having a good day. I don't know if I'm trying to keep my phone plugged in at the same time. It's video here, so thank you guys for your patience. All right. Can everyone hear me? Everyone hear what I'm doing here? Same thing. Got the $10,000 bankroll. $2,500, $500 per day. We've made it through 5 days. We are up, actually $2,800. So we're actually a $300 advantage from where we're supposed to be, which is good. Everyone can hear me. I'm just asking because I need to know. When we're all on the same page here. Awesome. Awesome. All right, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start with a $100 don't. Progress our way up. Remember, we're trying to win 500. We haven't missed yet. This is our 6th session. So here we go. Do you want to roll? All right, I'm going to let my wife roll these ones. I guess I can let her choose which dice she wants, huh? Let's do that. Otherwise, I'm sure someone will tell me I have loaded dice. That it would be hard to load the dice for the don't, right? All right, you got them? Mm-hmm. All right, dice out. Here we go. $100 don't. See what happens. We have a 6, 5, 1, 6. Again, guys, this is just me showing a way that you could possibly make $500 a day pretty consistently, and you could probably play craps for a living, but you'd have to have $10,000 to use, and then you'd have to be willing to play this way, which is very boring, very slow. All right, go. And we got a 5, 4, 1. All we're going to do is we're going to progress on a loss. Keep going. 4, 1 again. Nice. Repeating numbers. Very good. Here we go. 8. We're all around it. So right now, baby, you need to roll a 7 before a 6 to win our bet here. Oh, of course she did. Making money is never boring. Yeah, okay, I agree with that, but this one can be boring. Playing this style, especially if you're sitting there on the don't, watching this monster roll go by. All right, we're gonna go up to 300. She did knock that 6 off. Hey, Hawaii. What's up, buddy? What's up, Brian? All right. We have a 9. Our new point is 9. All right, here we go. Remember, so in this episode, we need to end up $3,000. I don't put specific values on the progression. I know people keep asking me about that. I don't put specific values on it because if you're not in the negative, playing a $100 don't twice in a row is fine. You know, if you're in the positive still. So I don't put a specific value in a specific progression. 4, 2, 6. And I know that's a real common thing people do. Like they lock themselves into that specific progression. I haven't made it past the 4th level, so the stop loss is $10,000. You have to be willing to risk the whole 10K. And I know that bothers people. There's the 437. You have got to be willing to risk the whole 10K to make this work. And that's one of the things that I think people don't like. All right, let's see where we're at. Trade that in. So right now we actually have $3,000 in profit. But we started with 2,800, so we're actually only up 200. So we're going to keep rolling, but we could actually stop here. It is a style of play more than a strategy. All I'm saying is that this style of play, where you progress this don't, inside of a $10,000 bankroll, you're going to make $500 a day most of the time. And by most of the time, I mean well into the 90s. Well into the 90s. Instead of calling it not fluid, I would say it's not blocky. It's not stuck in a box. It's not stuck in a box. Okay, we lost on that 7. Let's go to 300. You're not stuck in that same routine of just... And there's another 7. All right, so we just lost 100, then 300. So I'm going to go up to 800 this time. So here we go. Here you go, babe. And we got aces. So even though we just lost 3 in a row, this is what I'm saying, why it's hard to lose so many dotes in a row. So we just lost 3 don'ts in a row, and then boom, 1 aces brought it all back. So we just won $800 on that 1 aces. That's all it takes when you're playing the don't, is 1 aces. Like that. And that's my argument for this, is that you don't have to be perfect. It just has to win once. So there's 3,000, 3,400. We started with 2,800. So we're actually have made our goal at this point. So 28 plus 5 is 3,300. So we're up 3,400 on day 6, or on session 6. All right, so we're actually $100 away from our next session goal already. We're already $100 away from the next session goal. And guys, the $10,000 just gives you enough opportunities to have enough chances to make this goal of $500. You may have a $4,000 bet out there to make $500. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but that's the variance part of it. That's you're not going to win on the first 3 shooters every time. Sometimes it's going to take 6 shooters, 8 shooters, 12 shooters. I don't know. It's not always going to go so easy. But what I'm saying is that if you want to do this, and you want to do this consistently, yes, to make it through the math, right? So you are going to have spikes of losers. We had a spike of losers here. We had 3 in a row. But then an aces popped up. Then one set of aces returned all of our money, plus made our goal, and we were done. And that's why this is going to work. A huge majority of the time, right? It's not... You're going to lose on this so few times. You're going to lose on it so few times where you just have that run of 7 or 8 losers in a row. That's going to happen so few times before you make your goal, right? So it's not that it can never happen. It's that it has to happen before you make the 500 to lose, right? That situation has to happen before you make the 500. And that's why it works. That's why this style of play will work. Another thing I want to say is this isn't the only way to do this, guys. If you had $10,000, the furthest I've ever got, Brian, is to the 4th level. We've never been past the 4th level. So we haven't had the day where we got into that 6th level and it was sketchy, right? And we're almost, we're halfway, or well, we're a third of the way in 6 sessions to having a whole $10,000 made, So if we keep winning $500 a day, hey buddy, but if we keep winning $500 a day, or 6, how it's been working, it's not going to be long, and we're going to have made a whole $10,000. Now, the problem with that is that's not what this is. Not what this is for. This is actually for making $500 a day, like you were living on it, right? Like you were paying bills with it. So really, what would happen is you wouldn't actually have this money to use daily, these profits. You would only ever have the 10,000, because the profit money, the $500, would be going to pay your bills. And that was the idea of this when I put it out, was showing that when I started doing this series of videos, was showing that you can win $500 a day. It's possible. You have to have a ton of money to do it, and you have to have a lot of guts. It's really more about the guts in the bankroll than anything. I mean, you could actually probably play any number that you wanted. You could probably just progress the 6, and eventually the 6 is going to roll, and you're going to win all your money, day in and day out. You could probably, do things like, 480 across. You could probably do things like 480 across for one hit and down. There's all those things. They probably all would work as well. You're funny, Scott. I don't suggest this. The only reason I said, see, this got taken way out of context from the very first, from very first time I did this. I'm not telling people to go try to be professional craps players. People were asking me what I thought about it and what my experiences were with it, trying it as kind of like semi-professional, right? Yes, I probably would. You're right, Waylon. If I had been playing this way the whole time, I probably would have never deviated. You're absolutely correct. But it was never like, this has definitely got taken way out of context. Like I said, like people think I'm trying to tell them this is how you become a professional craps player. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that this is a way it could work, because people were telling me you couldn't do it. Well, you can do it. You have to play these styles. You have to play these grinder type styles that with bigger money. So it's not a grinder. It's a progressive style. So you're not having to win very many times a day. You only have to come up with like 3 winners a day to be done with to make your whole 500. But you also have to be basically willing to risk $10,000 to win 500. And day in and day out, that's what you have to be willing to do. Now, what's weird about that is people do it all the time and call it investing. But when you put it on a craps table, then it's gambling. And there is some differences. I'm not saying it's all exactly the same. But you can't make that money daily. Like $10,000 investment, you're not going to make $500 daily in the stock market on $10,000 investment. There's going to be days you do, and there's going to be days you don't. But you're not going to consistently make $500 a day on a $10,000 investment in the stock market. So again, guys, any automated craps program, for whatever reason, it's not like real life. It's just not. So one of the things you see a lot of in real life on the craps table, more than most would think, is, and one of the things you see a lot on the craps table is very inconsistent on the type of roll, right? Very inconsistent on the type of roll. And by that, what I mean is, you often will get a 9 roller followed by a 2 roller followed by a 6 roller followed by a 4 roller followed by a 13 roller. Where when you play on the automated things, it seems like all the rolls are basically the same. Like they basically last about 5 shots, 6 shots, and then they're done. Uh, the huge majority of them stay much closer to that. Where live at the table, you get the spikes live at the table are more evident for sure. Like where you'll see weird runs of PSOs, or you'll see a two guys back to back, hit part of the bonus bet back to back, and you haven't seen it all day. But then these two will do it back to back, and so at the table the variance is a little wider, it seems, in the shots you see, as opposed to those automated digital versions of craps where it seems like they stay very close. Again, I'm not telling people to go do this. I don't think, my personal opinion, after trying to kind of gamble semi-professionally or whatever, gamble to pay bills, I don't suggest it. I don't think you can do it. Absolutely, it's possible. But I think you should use gambling purely recreationally. And I used to not think that. Very recently, I used to think you should not. Very recently, I used to think that you could do it for a living. And so, but I don't now. I definitely think you should just play recreationally. If you make money most of the time, great. I mean, you can play recreationally more often. But attaching your lifestyle to gambling is very difficult. It's very, very difficult. So a lot of ups and downs, a lot of hard swings that are very trying. And now, if you were a single person, it's probably a lot easier. But if there's people that are reliant on you, such as children, such as a wife, trying to gamble for a living, is not the way to go. Get a job. Number one, doesn't afford a lot of things. Like, you don't get health insurance when you're a professional gambler. You have to buy it. Your company doesn't provide it for you. The casino isn't saying, "Hey, we get these health insurance programs. You want to buy in?" And so, yeah, I like Cashier's Cage. But anyways, that's kind of where I'm at on that. So guys, really early in the morning this morning, I was watching one of George's lives, and George was throwing his dice, and they were dying so well. And guys, one of my big things with dice control anymore is I actually think that there's only one type of controlled shot. There's only really one type of controlled shot, and it's when the dice land and they barely move once they've landed and hit the wall. If they do this and they move way out, there's no control to that shot. And this is my opinion, but when they land and they do that, that's control. Right? If you can't do those things, if you can't make those dice die within 4 inches of the wall in a little box, you're not doing it good enough. I watched George repeatedly do this last night, and all the rolls that stayed within a little box were all good rolls. All of them were all good rolls. The ones that jumped out were the ones that were bad rolls. And I think this is a very consistent theme to dice control. So if you're going to try to be good at manipulating the dice in whatever fashion you choose, I think you need to learn how to kill the dice. And so this is one of the things that I've been practicing a lot more. I'm going to try to show it a little bit. I'm going to keep track. I'm going to take a few shots and see how well I can do here. But I've been practicing it. And something I've seen that George does is his grip, my grip and his grip. So a lot of times I barely grip the dice, which I feel like lends to way more action in the dice. And because I have to throw the dice with more rotation, but George was gripping the dice with a more solider grip, and he was able to land the dice in the same spots, and they were dying. And so I'm taking his example, which is what I almost always do. and I try to figure it out from there for myself. So I'm going to adjust this a little bit, and normally I don't really care about the grip, but I do think this is bothering my shot a little. See how my dice jumped all over the place? And they jumped way across my table. And I rolled a 7. There was no control to that. Now, the 6-5-4-2 that I like to use, you could easily say, well, I rolled the 5-2-7 that was on axis. But who knows if it was on axis when it jumped all the way across my table. If they're not dying right there, then I'm not doing it right. And there's a 5. Still, they jumped way too far. And so this is what I got to work on personally. I got to get my dice to die. Now, don't get me wrong. My table is built very bouncy. I like that, Rob. My table is very bouncy on purpose because most craps tables you run into are relatively bouncy, right? They're going to bounce all over the place. There's a 12. And guys, I don't ever claim to be good at this. I tend to do good with it when I do play, but I don't claim to be good at it. But so I was just talking about some of the things I've seen on these guys that I do think are good at it. See, terrible shot, rolled a 7. Terrible shot, hit the rubber first. A lot of the things I'm really bad at. I hit the rubber first way too much. And so these are all the things that I'm really bad at. And why I'm probably not a better dice controller, as we'll call it. But it's because, oh, out of the table. That was probably my best shot of the day. And it jumped out. So, but I built my table specifically to be bouncy because and you're right, George. I'm sure you're right because you know way more about it than I do. So it's probably my grip that's most of my problem. But I built it really bouncy, so when I do run into tables, that are not bouncy, I tend to do pretty well on them. Okay, I'll have to practice that, George. I usually aim for that big 6 and 8. Is kind of where I'm aiming usually. That little diamond thing right there is generally where I aim. And I just try to make the dice die in there. Not very good at it. Sometimes I'll throw over there like that and try to kill them in that corner. And the reason I do that is because a lot of times when you're playing craps, there will be no one over there. So I do like to throw like that. That's a little personal thing. But guys, when I made, like I said, I made my table very bouncy on purpose. As you can see, my dice are jumping all over the place and I'm getting 7s. If you watch George roll, they don't do that. Hey Mike, how are you, buddy? And so that's kind of my whole thing on this, is that it's mostly about, for me, getting better at killing the dice. And I just got to practice it more. And I got to... I'll definitely do it. I got to build another table. Yeah. I just got to build another table that's a little deeper, because mine's not deep enough. It's about 3 inches too shallow, and so that's one of my problems. I need to be a little deeper. Awesome, Mike.
Are you okay?
So I need to rebuild the table, and I'll get to it. I just haven't got to it yet, but I will get to it, and then I guess I'll send this thing to Chris B because he asked for it for a million years now. So I'll send him this. But anyway, thank you guys. Oh, nice. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate that. But anyways, I'm going to get out of here. I got one other video to make really quick. Again, if you guys are interested in the NFL picks for the playoffs, you can purchase them on my website, wagermethis.com. So if you're interested in that, it's $50 for the whole playoffs. You're going to get a ton of winners because that's what I do is I give out winners. So you can go check that out. You want to bet on the playoffs, I got some really good information. It's a download right there on my, go to wagermethis.com, click on purchase NFL picks. It's going to take you right there. You can download it right there. And you're gonna get some really, really good plays. So anyways, you guys have a great day. And again, we made our goal. I expect us to make our goal most of the times. This could easily go on 100 episodes. So again, thank you guys for your time, and I'll see y'all later.